In the depths of the red pine forest, where ancient trees whisper secrets of survival, a heart-stopping scene unfolds. A wounded silver mare lies trapped, her desperate breaths visible in the crisp autumn air, as shadows with gleaming eyes close in around her. Time seems to freeze as the wolf pack circles their prey, but fate has other plans. What happens next will challenge everything you thought you knew about the laws of nature and the bonds that transcend species. This is a tale of courage, unexpected alliances, and the extraordinary power of compassion in the wild. The vast expanse of Silverleaf Valley stretched beneath a steel-gray sky, its rolling hills painted in autumn's fierce colors. Crystal Creek wound through the landscape like a silver ribbon, its waters reflecting the last warm rays of daylight. Among the towering red pines, a young mare named Luna lay wounded, her silver-dappled coat dulled by exhaustion and fear. Her leg caught in nature's cruel trap, a deep crevice hidden beneath fallen leaves, had betrayed her during her desperate flight from danger. The morning's peaceful grazing had shattered when One Eye's pack appeared, their hunger sharpened by the approaching winter. Luna's herd scattered in panic, and in her flight she'd strayed too far into unfamiliar territory. Now, as dusk approached, the temperature dropped rapidly, bringing with it a bone-chilling mist that crept through the forest floor like ghostly fingers. High above, on Broken Ridge, a magnificent grey stallion stood motionless, his muscular frame silhouetted against the darkening sky. Thunder, as the valley dwellers called him, had ruled these lands for 5 seasons, his reputation for strength matched only by his keen intelligence. His white star blazed like a beacon as he scanned his territory, nostrils flaring at the scent of wolves carried on the wind. Something was wrong in his valley, and years of survival had taught him to trust his instincts. The first howl pierced the evening silence, followed by another, then another, forming a chilling symphony that echoed through the valley. One Eye, the massive black wolf with his battle-scarred face, had found his prey. His pack moved like shadows through the underbrush, their coordinated movements speaking of countless successful hunts. Luna's heart pounded against her chest as she tried again to free herself, each attempt sending waves of pain through her trapped leg. Thunder's ears pricked forward at Luna's distant cry of distress. Without hesitation, he descended from his vantage point, his powerful hooves finding purchase on the treacherous slope. As he moved through the forest, another set of eyes watched the unfolding drama. Scout, a red fox known to the forest inhabitants for his unusual behavior, emerged from his den beneath an ancient pine. Unlike his kin, Scout had often been seen near the horse herds, maintaining a curious but respectful distance. The wolf pack tightened their circle around Luna, their breath visible in the gathering darkness. One Eye's remaining eye gleamed with hungry anticipation as he sized up his trapped prey. Luna's strength was fading, her once proud head now hanging low as exhaustion took its toll. The pack leader tensed, preparing for the kill, when a sound like rolling thunder shattered the tense silence. Through the mist came Thunder, his grey coat almost silver in the fading light, his hooves striking the earth with devastating force. The wolves scattered momentarily, surprised by this bold intrusion into their hunt. One Eye snarled, torn between his prize and this new threat. Thunder positioned himself between Luna and the pack, his presence commanding and unafraid. His white star seemed to glow in the gathering darkness, a defiant beacon against the encroaching shadows. Scout watched from the safety of a nearby thicket, his keen mind assessing the situation. The fox had survived this long by understanding the delicate balance of forest life, and something about this scene stirred his curiosity. As One Eye's pack regrouped for an attack, Scout made a decision that would change the fate of all involved. The fox darted from his hiding place, his red coat flashing like flame through the shadows. He moved with precise calculation, nipping at the wolves' heels and darting away, his smaller size and superior agility making him an infuriating target. The wolves' attention split, their coordinated attack falling into chaos as Scout led them on a wild chase through the underbrush. Thunder seized the opportunity, turning his attention to Luna's trapped leg. With gentle but firm movements, he helped guide her efforts to free herself. The mare's trust in him was immediate and complete, her instincts telling her that this powerful stallion meant salvation. As Scout continued his daring distraction, Luna finally wrenched her leg free, stumbling slightly as she tested her weight on the injured limb. One Eye, realizing his pack's formation had been broken, let out a furious howl that echoed through the trees. The sound carried across the valley, reaching the ears of another who had been watching events unfold from afar. Storm, the Palomino stallion, who led the neighboring herd, had been drawn by the commotion. His own experiences with One Eye's pack had taught him the value of unity in the face of danger. As the wolves regrouped for another attack, the ground began to vibrate with the approach of thundering hooves. Storm's herd emerged from the mist like spirits, their coats catching the last light of day. The Palomino stallion's arrival with his herd shifted the balance of power decisively. One Eye, his tactical advantage lost, began to retreat, his pack following suit as they melted back into the shadows of Shadow Canyon. The immediate danger had passed, but Luna's ordeal was far from over. Her leg, though free, was badly bruised, and the night was approaching rapidly. Thunder and Storm exchanged looks of understanding. Their herds would merge temporarily, offering greater protection against the dangers that lurked in the darkness. Scout, his role in their survival no less significant, watched from a distance as the horses began their careful journey to safer ground. As the united herds made their way toward Thunder's Meadow, where the grass grew tall and sweet and natural springs provided clean water, the bonds forged in crisis began to strengthen. Luna's recovery would take time, but under the protection of both herds and the watchful eyes of their unexpected fox ally, she began to regain her strength. The valley's inhabitants spoke of that night for many seasons to come, telling of how ancient rivalries gave way to something greater when survival hung in the balance. Thunder's Meadow became a sanctuary where different species learned to coexist, their unlikely alliance changing the very nature of life in Silverleaf Valley. Scout often visited, his presence a reminder that courage comes in all sizes, and that true strength lies not in physical power alone, but in the wisdom to know when to help others. Luna's injury healed, leaving behind a slight limp that served as a reminder of the night when traditional boundaries dissolved in the face of compassion. If this story touched your heart, remember that even in our modern world, the power of unexpected friendships and courage in the face of adversity remains just as relevant. Don't forget to like and subscribe to join us for more incredible tales of survival, unity, and the extraordinary moments that remind us of nature's endless capacity to surprise and inspire. Share this story with someone who needs to be reminded that sometimes our greatest allies come in the most unexpected forms, and that true strength lies in our willingness to help others, even when nothing compels us to do so except the whispers of our own heart. Dawn painted the Silverleaf Valley in shades of amber and gold, the morning frost creating a delicate lattice across the meadow grass. Thunder led the merged herds through the awakening landscape, his powerful strides measured to accommodate Luna's injured gait. The silver mare's resilience showed in each careful step, her determination matching the rising sun's persistence in breaking through the morning mist. Storm, the Palomino stallion, flanked the group's opposite side, his golden coat catching the early light like flames dancing in the wind. The two stallions had established an unspoken rhythm, their movements synchronized in a dance of protection and guidance. Between them, their combined herds moved as one, the younger foals prancing close to their mothers, while the older mares maintained a vigilant watch over their expanded family. Scout, the red fox, darted through the tall grass ahead of the herd, his keen senses alert for any sign of danger. His unusual alliance with the horses had transformed him from a solitary hunter into something unprecedented in the valley's history. The fox's presence created ripples of curiosity among the forest's other inhabitants, who watched from a distance as traditional boundaries continued to blur. The journey to Thunder's Meadow revealed new challenges with each passing hour. The show's early winter wind carried whispers of approaching snow, and the shortened days meant less time for grazing. Luna's injury, though no longer critical, demanded frequent rest stops. During these pauses, Thunder stood guard, while Storm led the stronger members of the herd to forage, their efficiency born of necessity. High above in the grey autumn sky, ravens circled, their harsh calls carrying news of the unusual gathering to distant corners of the valley. Among those who received this aerial message was One Eye, nursing his wounded pride in the shadows of Shadow Canyon. The wolf pack leader's remaining eye burned with a cold fire as he watched his scouts return, with reports of the horses' movements. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. His hunger for revenge simmered beneath the surface, tempered only by the memory of his recent defeat. As the merged herds approached a narrow passage between two rocky outcrops, Scout's behavior suddenly changed. The fox's ears twitched forward, his body low to the ground as he investigated something only his sensitive nose could detect. Thunder responded immediately to the fox's alert, signaling the herd to halt with a soft snort. The narrow passage, though familiar to Thunder's herd, posed new risks with their increased numbers. Storm moved forward to join Thunder at the front, both stallions reading the tension in Scout's posture. The fox had discovered fresh wolf tracks, not from One Eye's pack, but from another group that had moved into the territory, drawn by rumors of easy prey. The situation was becoming more complex with each passing moment, as nature's delicate balance shifted under the pressure of approaching winter. Luna limped forward, her silver coat now dulled by dust and fatigue, but her eyes remained bright. With determination, she had learned to trust Thunder's leadership and Scout's warnings, her survival instincts sharpened by her recent brush with death. The young mare's presence had become a symbol of their unlikely alliance, a living reminder of what could be achieved when ancient rivalries gave way to cooperation. Thunder made a decision, guiding the herd away from the narrow passage and toward a longer but safer route. The detour would cost them valuable daylight, but the stallion's experience had taught him that patience often meant the difference between survival and disaster. Storm supported the choice without hesitation, their shared leadership growing stronger with each challenge they faced. As they traversed the longer path, the landscape began to change. The dense pine forest gave way to scattered groves of aspen, their golden leaves creating a ceiling of light above the herd. Here, in this more open terrain, Scout's role became even more crucial. The fox used his small size to advantage, scouting ahead through the underbrush while staying within sight of the herd. The sun had passed its peak when they encountered their first major obstacle. A recent storm had brought down several large trees across their path, creating a natural barrier that would force them even further from their intended route. The younger horses showed signs of fatigue, their usual spirited play replaced by plodding steps and lowered heads. Luna's injury had begun to stiffen in the cooling air, each step becoming more labored than the last. Thunder and Storm exchanged glances, their years of leadership experience evident in their quick assessment of the situation. They needed to find shelter soon, somewhere defensible where the herd could rest and Luna could continue her recovery. Scout, sensing their concern, disappeared into the undergrowth, his red coat flashing briefly before he vanished completely. The fox's absence created a temporary tension within the group, but Thunder had learned to trust their small ally's judgment. His faith was rewarded when Scout reappeared less than an hour later, his behavior indicating he had found something of importance. The fox led them along a winding path that gradually descended into a sheltered valley, hidden from view by steep banks covered in thick vegetation. This hidden haven proved to be a fortunate discovery. A small spring bubbled up from between moss-covered rocks, providing clean water for the tired horses. The steep banks offered protection from the wind, and the thick grass, though frost-touched, would provide adequate grazing. Most importantly, there were only two main approaches to the valley, making it easier to defend against potential threats. As the herd settled into their temporary sanctuary, Thunder maintained his vigilance. Storm organized the stronger mares into a rotation, ensuring that while some rested, others kept watch. Luna found a spot near the spring, the cool water soothing her injured leg as she drank. Scout established a perimeter, his quick movements creating a network of surveillance around the valley's edges. The afternoon wore on, bringing with it the first scattered snowflakes of the season. The white crystals danced on the wind, a beautiful but concerning sight so early in the autumn. Thunder knew that an early winter could spell disaster for the merged herds, especially with Luna's injury slowing their progress. They needed to reach Thunder's meadow before the serious snow began, or their chances of survival would diminish significantly. As dusk approached, Scout's behavior changed again. The fox's ears swiveled toward the northern approach, his body tensing in a way that Thunder had learned to respect. Something was approaching, moving quietly, but not quietly, enough to escape the fox's acute senses. Thunder gave a soft warning call, bringing the herd to alert status without causing panic. Storm moved to guard the southern approach, while Thunder faced north, their instinctive coordination a testament to their growing partnership. Luna and the other horses gathered in the center of the valley, the stronger members of the herd moving to protect the young and injured. Scout disappeared into the growing shadows, using his stealth to investigate the potential threat. The tension mounted as the last rays of sunlight painted the sky in deep purples and reds. The snowfall had increased, slightly, creating a thin white veil that made it harder to distinguish shapes in the gathering darkness. Scout's return brought both relief and concern. His body language indicated that while there was danger, it wasn't immediate. The fox had discovered signs of human activity near their location. Thunder knew the threat humans posed. Unlike wolves, whose attacks were driven by hunger and followed predictable patterns, humans were creatures of complex motivations. Their presence could mean anything from casual observation to an organized attempt to capture members of the herd. The early snowfall might drive them back to their settlements, or it might make them more determined to capture horses before winter fully arrived. As night settled over their hidden valley, the merged herds created a tight circle of warmth and protection. The youngest foals nestled against their mothers, while the older horses took turns resting and standing guard. Luna's injury had begun to show improvement, though the cold weather threatened to slow her healing. Scout found a vantage point atop a fallen log, his red coat nearly black in the darkness, his vigilant presence a comfort to the horses below. Thunder and Storm maintained their positions at opposite ends of the valley, their silhouettes powerful, reminders of the strength found in unity. The light snowfall continued, transforming their sanctuary into a winter wonderland that would have been beautiful under different circumstances. Instead, each snowflake added to their challenges, making the journey ahead more treacherous and their need for haste more urgent. The night passed in a series of quiet alerts and all clears, Scouts' periodic circuits of their perimeter, keeping them informed of any changes in their situation. The fox's dedication to their safety went beyond any natural explanation, suggesting a level of intelligence and empathy that challenged conventional understanding of wildlife behavior. His presence had become as essential to their survival as Thunder's leadership or Storm's strength. As the first hints of dawn began to lighten the eastern sky, the snowfall finally ceased, leaving behind a thin white blanket that transformed the landscape. The morning light revealed fresh challenges. Their tracks would be clearly visible in the snow, making it harder to move without being detected. The cold had stiffened Luna's injury, and the wet conditions would make travel more dangerous for all of them. Thunder knew they couldn't remain in the hidden valley indefinitely. The limited grazing would soon be exhausted, and the snow cover would make it harder for the herd to find adequate food. They needed to reach Thunder's meadow, where the winter grass grew thick and sweet, and natural shelters would protect them from the worst of the weather. The question wasn't whether to move, but when and how to do so with minimum risk to the herd. The morning light brought with it an unexpected gift. Scout discovered a series of small caves in the valley's western wall, hidden behind a curtain of frost-covered vines. These caves would provide additional shelter if they needed to extend their stay, and more importantly, offered a potential escape route if danger approached from the main entrances to the valley. As the sun climbed higher, its warmth began to melt the thin snow cover, creating a window of opportunity. Thunder and Storm gathered the herd, their movements deliberate and purposeful. Luna tested her injured leg, finding that while stiff, it was stronger than the day before. Scout took up his position as advanced scout, his red coat a bright beacon against the remaining patches of white snow. The merged herds moved out of their temporary sanctuary with practiced precision, their hooves carefully placed to minimize noise and avoid treacherous footing. The morning mist provided additional cover, though it also limited their visibility and made them more dependent on Scout's reconnaissance. The fox moved ahead of them like a flame through the forest, his every movement a signal that helped guide them safely forward. The next phase of their journey had begun, each step taking them closer to Thunder's meadow and the promise of winter sanctuary. But as they moved through the awakening forest, none of them could know what new challenges awaited them or how their unlikely alliance would be tested in the hours to come. The only certainty was that their survival depended on maintaining the trust and cooperation that had brought them this far. Midday brought unexpected warmth to the Silverleaf Valley, the sun's strength melting away patches of morning frost and creating a misty haze that rose from the forest floor. Through this ethereal landscape, Thunder guided the merged herds with measured steps, his senses alert to the changing environment. The unusual weather patterns had begun to affect the wildlife in ways that even the most experienced forest dwellers couldn't predict. Scout's discovery of fresh deer tracks crossing their path revealed how the early snow had disrupted normal migration patterns. The fox's keen observations helped Thunder choose routes that avoided potential confrontations with other displaced wildlife. Each deviation from their planned course brought new territories to navigate, each with its own hidden dangers and unexpected sanctuaries. Luna's recovery continued to surprise and inspire the herd. The silver mare had developed a unique gait that compensated for her injury, allowing her to keep pace while continuing to heal. Her determination sparked a protective instinct among the younger horses, who formed a rotating honor guard around her, their presence both practical and symbolic of the herd's unified spirit. The afternoon light filtered through breaks in the cloud cover, creating dappled patterns that moved across the forest floor like living things. Storm, patrolling the herd's eastern flank, caught the scent of something that made his nostrils flare. The Palomino stallion's reaction drew Thunder's immediate attention, their months of cooperation having forged an almost telepathic understanding. Through the trees came an unfamiliar sound, the rhythmic creaking of wooden wheels. Humans were moving through the forest, their wagon wheels cutting deep tracks into the partially thawed ground. Thunder quickly guided the herd into a dense thicket of young pines, their needles providing excellent cover while Scout investigated the potential threat. The fox returned with concerning news, his body language conveying what his voice could not. The humans had set up camp near Crystal Creek, their presence blocking the herd's most direct route to Thunder's Meadow. More worrying was the collection of ropes and corrals they carried. These were not simple travelers, but horse hunters preparing for a capture attempt. As the herd waited in tense silence, Luna's ears suddenly pricked forward, catching a sound that others had missed. From the direction of the human camp came the distressed whinnies of captured horses. The sound stirred something deep within Thunder. These were not wild horses, but domesticated ones, their cries speaking of confusion and fear rather than the defiance of free spirits. Storm moved closer to Thunder, his body language suggesting a bold plan. The Palomino's years of roaming had given him extensive knowledge of human behavior, including their tendencies to become careless when they thought themselves safe. Scout, sensing the stallion's intentions, positioned himself for a closer inspection of the camp, his red coat blending surprisingly well with the autumn foliage. The fox's reconnaissance revealed an opportunity. The humans had secured their captured horses poorly, more concerned with setting up their own shelter against the threatening weather than properly containing their prizes. A deliberate distraction might create enough chaos to allow not only safe passage for their own herd, but also a chance at freedom for the captured horses. Thunder weighed the risks carefully. Engaging with anything involving humans carried enormous danger, but leaving fellow horses in captivity went against every instinct he possessed. Luna limped forward, her eyes meeting Thunder's with an intensity that spoke volumes. Despite her injury, she was willing to risk everything to help others avoid the fate she had so narrowly escaped. Storm organized the stronger members of the herd into strategic positions, while Thunder worked out the details of their plan. Scout would create the initial distraction, using his speed and agility to draw the humans' attention. The confusion would allow Storm's group to approach from the east, their sudden appearance designed to startle the humans' horses and add to the chaos. Thunder would lead the main rescue, his powerful presence and experience making him the best choice for guiding frightened domestic horses to safety. Luna, though eager to help, would stay with the more vulnerable members of the herd in a protected position, ready to move once the rescue was underway. As dusk approached, bringing with it the promise of another cold night, their plans sprang into action. Scout burst into the human camp like a flame, yipping and darting between their legs with calculated precision. The humans, startled by such bold behavior from a fox, grabbed for weapons while trying to maintain their footing on the slippery ground. Storm's group emerged from the trees like spirits, their sudden appearance accompanied by powerful snorts and thundering hooves. The humans' horses, already unsettled by Scout's performance, began pulling at their ropes, their panic spreading through the camp like wildfire. Thunder seized this moment to make his move, his powerful frame emerging from the shadows like an avenging spirit. The captured horses, sensing freedom within reach, redoubled their efforts to break free. Thunder's presence seemed to awaken something primitive within them, a memory of wild ancestors that had never fully faded. With powerful teeth, he began severing ropes while the humans scrambled to regain control of the situation. Luna, watching from her protected position, saw something the others had missed. One of the humans, more experienced than his companions, was circling behind the camp with a rope. Without hesitation, she let out a piercing warning cry that cut through the chaos. Like a blade, Thunder wheeled just in time to avoid the lasso, his quick reaction sending the humans sprawling. Scout, proving once again the value of unlikely allies, created a new distraction by running through the humans' supplies, scattering their provisions, and adding to the general confusion. Storm's group maintained their intimidating presence, effectively blocking the humans' attempts to reorganize and contain the situation. As the last rope snapped under Thunder's teeth, the freed horses faced a moment of decision. Their domesticated lives had not prepared them for sudden freedom, and some hesitated, torn between familiar captivity and uncertain liberty. Thunder's commanding presence made the difference, his confident stride showing them the way to safety. The escape had to be executed perfectly. Too much speed would cause panic and potential injury. Too little would allow the humans to regroup and recapture their prizes. Thunder set a pace that balanced urgency with control, while Storm's group provided rearguard protection. Scout darted between the trees alongside them, his presence oddly reassuring to the newly freed horses. Luna's group joined them at the predetermined meeting point, their timing perfect as the light began to fade from the sky. The domestic horses, still uncertain but gaining confidence with each step, found themselves surrounded by experienced wild ones who guided them deeper into the forest with practiced efficiency. The sound of human shouts faded behind them as darkness claimed the forest. Thunder led them along a winding path that would confuse any pursuit, while Scout ran swift circuits around the expanded herd, ensuring no stragglers fell behind. The domestic horses, though tired and confused, began to display increasing trust in their wild rescuers. As they moved through the night, Thunder observed how quickly the freed horses adapted to their new situation. Their initial fear gave way to curiosity, then to cautious excitement as they experienced their first taste of true freedom. Luna, despite her injury, played a crucial role in keeping them calm, her own story of survival and recovery serving as living inspiration. Storm's experience proved invaluable in helping the domestic horses navigate unfamiliar terrain. The Palomino stallions seemed to possess an uncanny ability to anticipate which obstacles would prove most challenging for their inexperienced companions, adjusting their route accordingly. His patience and understanding helped bridge the gap between domestic and wild ways of life. Scout's presence continued to surprise and impress. The fox's dedication to their safety went far beyond any natural explanation, suggesting levels of empathy and intelligence that challenged conventional understanding. His occasional stops to mark their trail served multiple purposes, confusing potential pursuers while leaving signs that only he could fully interpret. As midnight approached, they reached a series of small caves set into a hillside. Thunder recognized this place from his earlier explorations. It would provide excellent shelter for the night and allow the domestic horses time to rest and adjust to their new reality. The caves offered multiple exits and good visibility of the surrounding area, making them defensible if the humans managed to track them this far. Luna found a comfortable spot near the cave entrance, her injury demanding rest, but her spirit insisting on maintaining a watch position. The domestic horses, exhausted but exhilarated by their adventure, settled nearby, drawing comfort from her calm presence. Their soft nickering spoke of growing confidence and decreasing fear. Thunder and Storm established a guard rotation that included their most experienced herd members. Scout disappeared briefly, returning with news that the human camp had been dismantled, its occupants heading back toward their settlement. The Fox's intelligence network, whatever its nature, had once again proved invaluable to their survival. The night passed in relative peace, broken only by the occasional owl call or distant wolf howl. The domestic horses, initially startled by these wild sounds, gradually relaxed as they observed the calm reactions of their wild companions. Each hour brought visible changes in their behavior. Heads held higher, movements more confident, spirits awakening to new possibilities. As dawn approached, Thunder contemplated their next moves. The rescue had added complexity to their journey, but it had also strengthened their unusual alliance. The domestic horses would need time to develop the skills necessary for wild survival, but their presence had already begun to add new dimensions to the herd's capabilities. Luna's example provided hope and inspiration, showing that adaptation and growth were possible even in the face of severe challenges. Her own journey from injured victim to respected herd member offered a blueprint for the domestic horse's transition to freedom. The silver mare's quiet strength continued to influence all those around her, wild and domestic alike. The first light of dawn revealed heavy clouds gathering on the horizon, promising more challenging weather ahead. Thunder knew they needed to reach Thunder's meadow before the serious storms arrived, but now they had additional factors to consider. The domestic horses would need time to build their strength and learn the ways of the wild, all while staying ahead of any human pursuit. Yet as he watched the merged herds prepare for another day's journey, Thunder felt a deep sense of rightness about their actions. The rescue had not been part of their original plan, but it had aligned perfectly with the spirit of cooperation and protection that had brought them this far. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, their unlikely family, growing stronger with each passing day. Scouts' morning reconnaissance brought both good and concerning news. While the humans had indeed withdrawn to their settlement, other changes were occurring in the forest. The early winter weather had driven various predator groups into new territories, creating potential conflicts that would need careful navigation. The fox's intelligence would prove crucial in the days ahead as they balanced the needs of their expanded family against the growing challenges of survival. Morning mist clung to the valleys of Silverleaf as the expanded herd emerged from their cave shelter. The rescued domestic horses moved with growing confidence, their steps more assured as they followed Thunder's lead through the changing landscape. Above them, dark clouds gathered in ominous formations, their shadows dancing across the forest floor like ghostly warnings of approaching storms. Scouts' dawn patrol had revealed fresh challenges ahead. The fox's acute senses detected signs of extensive flooding along their planned route, the early winter thaw creating treacherous ground conditions. The normal crossing points at Crystal Creek had become swollen and dangerous, forcing them to seek alternative passages through increasingly unfamiliar territory. Luna's injury had developed an unexpected benefit. Her careful, measured pace helped the domestic horses adapt to wild movement patterns, their natural instincts awakening as they mimicked her deliberate grace. The silver mare had unconsciously become a bridge between their old life and their new freedom, her own journey of healing parallel to their transformation. Storm noticed the changing behavior of the forest creatures first. Squirrels and birds displayed unusual patterns, gathering food with frantic energy that spoke of instinctive knowledge. The Palomino stallion recognized these signs from his years of roaming. A severe weather system was approaching, one that could trap them in dangerous territory if they didn't move quickly. Thunder led them along a ridge that offered both visibility and protection, his experienced eye scanning for signs of the safest path forward. The domestic horses were learning quickly, but their stamina remained untested. Each hour brought new challenges as their muscles, softened by captivity, adapted to the demands of wild living. A distant rumble of thunder sent shivers through the herd. Not lightning, Thunder realized, but the sound of falling rock. The early thaw had destabilized parts of the mountain, creating new hazards in previously safe passages. Scout darted ahead to investigate, his agile form disappearing into the misty landscape like a phantom. The fox's return brought concerning news. A recent landslide had blocked their intended route, the fallen rocks creating an impassable barrier. More worrying were the fresh predator tracks Scout had discovered. The disrupted landscape had forced various hunting groups into concentrated areas, increasing the likelihood of dangerous encounters. Luna stepped forward, her eyes focused on a narrow trail that wound through a stand of ancient pines. Her time spent adapting to injury had given her an intimate knowledge of alternative pathways, ones that might prove easier for their less experienced companions. Thunder recognized the wisdom in her suggestion, noting how the dense tree cover would provide protection from both weather and watching eyes. As they navigated the tight passage, Storm positioned himself at the rear of the group, his golden coat almost glowing in the filtered light. The domestic horses, still learning to trust their instincts, drew confidence from his steady presence. Each successful step through challenging terrain built their confidence, transforming them from cautious followers into active participants in their own freedom. Scout's presence proved invaluable as they moved deeper into unfamiliar territory. The fox's intimate knowledge of hidden paths and safe resting places helped them maintain a steady pace while avoiding the worst of the unstable ground. His occasional disappearances always led to discoveries of fresh water sources or sheltered grazing spots, critical resources for the growing herd. The afternoon brought a new challenge as the wind began to rise, carrying with it the first stinging pellets of ice. The weather was changing faster than expected, the comfortable autumn day transforming into something more treacherous. Thunder knew they needed to find substantial shelter before the full force of the storm hit, but suitable options were limited in this transitional territory. Luna's ears suddenly pricked forward, catching a sound that others had missed. Through the increasing wind came the faint echo of running water, not the dangerous rush of Crystal Creek, but something different. Scout immediately investigated, returning with excited gestures that led them toward what appeared to be a solid rock. Behind a curtain of snow-laden vines, they discovered the entrance to a hidden valley. A small waterfall, partially frozen into fantastic ice formations, fed a series of shallow pools before disappearing underground. The surrounding cliffs provided excellent protection from the wind, while multiple cave openings offered options for shelter. The domestic horses showed their first real initiative since their rescue, moving naturally toward the caves as if drawn by ancient memories of their wild ancestors. Thunder watched with approval as they tested the ground with their hooves before entering, demonstrating growing awareness of their environment. Storm organized the herd into smaller groups, distributing them among the available caves to prevent overcrowding. The arrangement served multiple purposes. It allowed for better air circulation, reduced the risk of panic in case of threats, and helped the domestic horses bond with their wild companions in more intimate settings. Scout's exploration of the valley revealed additional benefits. The ice formations created natural barriers that would discourage casual investigation by predators, while the running water provided both drinking sources and sound coverage that would mask their presence. The fox's discovery had given them a perfect temporary sanctuary in which to wait out the approaching storm. As darkness approached, the weather deteriorated rapidly. The wind howled through the cliff tops, but within their sheltered valley, the herd remained protected. Luna found a comfortable spot near one of the cave entrances, her presence calming the more nervous members of their group. The domestic horses, initially unsettled by the storm's fury, gradually relaxed as they observed the calm demeanor of their wild companions. Thunder maintained his vigilance, though he allowed himself brief periods of rest. The stallion's leadership had evolved since their journey began, incorporating elements of teaching and guidance alongside protection. He recognized that their success now depended not just on survival, but on the successful integration of their rescued companions into wildlife. Storm's experience with human behavior proved invaluable as they settled in for the night. The Palomino understood the importance of establishing new routines for the domestic horses, helping them break free from the artificial patterns of their captive life. Under his guidance, they began to develop more natural sleeping patterns, learning to rest while maintaining awareness of their surroundings. Scout's nighttime patrols took on new significance in the unfamiliar territory. The fox's ability to move silently through the darkness provided crucial intelligence about their surroundings. His presence served as an early warning system, allowing the herd to rest more deeply while maintaining security. Luna's injury continued to heal, though the cold weather brought new challenges. The silver mare had developed remarkable adaptability, finding ways to stay warm and comfortable while maintaining her role as a source of inspiration for others. Her quiet strength resonated particularly strongly with the domestic horses, who saw in her story hope for their own transformation. As midnight approached, Scout returned from a patrol with unusual urgency. The fox's behavior caught Thunder's immediate attention, drawing him to the valley's edge. There, barely visible through the swirling snow, came signs of approaching danger. One Eye's pack had tracked them, their hunger driving them to hunt, despite the deteriorating weather. Thunder quickly organized the herd's defenses, positioning the strongest members to protect the cave entrances. Storm took charge of keeping the domestic horses calm, their recent progress at risk of regression in the face of primal fear. Luna's steady presence proved crucial, her calm demeanor helping to prevent panic from spreading through the group. The wolves' approach revealed something unexpected. One Eye's pack moved with unnatural precision, suggesting they had formed an alliance. With another group, the combined force presented a more significant threat than they had faced before, their coordinated movements speaking of shared hunting experience. Scout's role evolved in response to the new danger. The fox began a complex series of maneuvers, using his small size and speed to create confusion among the wolves. His actions suggested intimate knowledge of wolf behavior, perhaps gained from his own experiences as a solitary survivor in contested territories. Thunder recognized the need for a different strategy. Traditional defensive positions wouldn't be enough against such a large, coordinated threat. The stallion began implementing a plan that would utilize their environment to their advantage, using the ice formations and cave system to create natural barriers and escape routes. The domestic horses surprised everyone with their response to the crisis. Instead of succumbing to panic, they demonstrated remarkable adaptation, following Thunder's signals with increasing precision. Their time in the wild, though brief, had awakened dormant instincts that now served them well in the face of danger. Storm's understanding of predator psychology proved invaluable as they refined their defensive strategy. The Palomino recognized patterns in the wolves' approach that suggested their ultimate goal, not just hunting, but attempting to separate the herd into more vulnerable groups. His insights helped Thunder adjust their positions to maintain unity while preparing for multiple contingencies. Luna's position near the cave entrance took on new significance as the confrontation approached. The silver mare's presence provided a focal point for the herd's courage, her own history of survival inspiring others to stand firm. The domestic horses in particular drew strength from her example, their fear transforming into determined resistance. Scout's harassment of the wolf pack revealed another layer of complexity in their unusual alliance. The fox's actions demonstrated not just bravery, but strategic thinking that complemented Thunder's leadership. His quick movements and precise timing created opportunities for the herd to adjust their positions without exposing vulnerabilities. As the storm intensified, the natural elements began to play a crucial role in the developing situation. The wind-driven snow reduced visibility, while the sound of the waterfall masked movement sounds. Thunder recognized these conditions could work either for or against them, depending on how well they adapted their strategy to the changing environment. The wolves' first testing attacks came as swift, probing movements designed to assess the herd's defenses. Thunder's positioning proved sound, allowing them to repel these initial threats while conserving energy for the larger confrontation they all knew was coming. The domestic horses held their positions with surprising steadiness, their growing trust in their wild companions overshadowing their instinctive fear. Storm's experience with coordinated defense came to the forefront as the wolves attempted to split their attention between multiple attack points. The Palomino's quick adjustments helped maintain the integrity of their defensive formation, while his calm presence helped steady the newer members of their group. The domestic horses, watching and learning, began to mirror the more experienced herd members' responses to danger. The frozen waterfall cast ethereal shadows across the valley as midnight passed into deeper darkness. Ice crystals danced in the air, their delicate patterns illuminated by brief flashes of moonlight breaking through the storm clouds. Thunder watched as One Eye's reinforced pack tested their defenses with increasing sophistication, each probe revealing the wolves' growing understanding of their sanctuary's layout. A sudden shift in the wind brought new scents to Scout's sensitive nose. The fox's reaction drew Thunder's immediate attention. Something beyond the wolves was approaching their position. Through the swirling snow came an unexpected sound. The heavy wing beats of golden eagles, their shadows massive against the storm-dark sky. These magnificent predators rarely ventured so low in such weather, their presence suggesting deeper disruptions in the natural order. Luna's experience with injury had heightened her awareness of vulnerable positions. The silver mare detected subtle changes in the domestic horse's stance that suggested growing fatigue. Their transition to wildlife had strengthened them, but they weren't yet prepared for such a prolonged defensive effort. Her quiet signals to Thunder helped him adjust their formation, allowing the less experienced members to rest while maintaining their protective barrier. Storm's golden coat gleamed dully in the diffused light as he coordinated movements between the cave entrances. The Palomino's intimate knowledge of predator behavior suggested that the wolves' pattern of attack was changing. Their probing assaults had evolved into something more strategic, testing not just physical defenses, but the herd's psychological resilience as well. Thunder recognized a crucial moment approaching: the combined threats. Wolves, weather, and now eagles created a complex tactical challenge that required an innovative response. Their defensive position, while strong, couldn't be maintained indefinitely. The stallion began formulating a plan that would utilize all of their unique allies and the environment itself to create an opportunity for not just survival, but decisive action. Scout's agile form darted between ice formations, his movements drawing the wolves' attention in calculated patterns. The fox had begun implementing his own strategy, one that complemented Thunder's developing plan. His apparent random harassments were actually creating specific responses in the wolf pack, responses that could be predicted and exploited. An eagle's cry pierced the night, startling the domestic horses into tighter formation. Rather than panic, however, they demonstrated remarkable adaptation, instinctively seeking protection while maintaining their defensive positions. Their progress from captive animals to wild spirits had accelerated under pressure, ancient instincts awakening in response to immediate threats. Luna's position near the central cave entrance took on new significance as Thunder's plan crystallized. The silver mare's steady presence anchored their defensive line while allowing for quick adjustments as needed. Her own journey from vulnerability to strength made her uniquely qualified to guide others through this transformation from prey to defenders. The waterfall's constant rhythm provided cover for Storm's careful repositioning of their strongest members. The Palomino understood that their next moves would require perfect timing and absolute trust between all members of their unlikely alliance. Even the domestic horses seemed to sense the importance of the moment, their attention focused and their movements precise. Scout's return from another harassment run brought crucial intelligence. The fox's keen observations had revealed a pattern in the wolves' leadership structure. One Eye's authority over the combined packs wasn't absolute. Subtle competitions between different wolf groups created exploitable weaknesses in their coordination. Thunder's strategy began to unfold as the storm reached new intensity. The howling wind and driving snow created conditions that would challenge both attackers and defenders. But the herd's intimate knowledge of their sanctuary provided critical advantages. Each cave entrance, each ice formation, each shifting shadow became part of their tactical arsenal. The eagles, their presence still a wild card in the developing situation, maintained their vigil from the cliffs above. Their behavior suggested they were waiting for the ground battle to create opportunities, their patience adding another layer of complexity to Thunder's calculations. Yet their presence might also be turned to advantage if the timing proved right. Luna's injury, though nearly healed, had taught her invaluable lessons about adapting to limitations. These insights proved crucial as she helped position the domestic horses where their developing strengths could be most effective. Their transformation from passive followers to active participants in their own defense marked a significant milestone in their journey to freedom. Storm's experience with coordinated movement came to the fore as they began implementing Thunder's plan. The Palomino's ability to communicate complex intentions through subtle signals helped maintain surprise as they adjusted their formations. The domestic horses, watching and learning, demonstrated remarkable ability to interpret and respond to these silent commands. Scout's role evolved beyond mere harassment as the plan unfolded. The fox's quick thinking and intimate knowledge of wolf behavior allowed him to create specific reactions, herding their attackers into positions that would leave them vulnerable to the herd's coordinated response. His trust in Thunder's leadership was absolute, his actions perfectly synchronized with the larger strategy. The waterfall's frozen cascades suddenly shifted, sheets of ice breaking free in the storm's fury. This natural occurrence aligned perfectly with Thunder's timing, the crashing ice creating moments of confusion that rippled through the wolf pack. One Eye's leadership faced its first real test as his followers responded differently to the unexpected threat. Luna's steady presence kept the domestic horses calm through the chaos, their trust in her guidance now deeply ingrained. The silver mare's own experiences with fear and recovery helped her recognize and address signs of panic before they could disrupt the herd's coordinated movements. Her quiet strength continued to inspire those around her. Storm's position at the opposite side of their sanctuary allowed him to coordinate with Scout, their combined efforts creating patterns of movement that confused and separated the attacking wolves. The Palomino's understanding of predator psychology helped predict and exploit the natural competitions between different wolf groups. Thunder seized the perfect moment to initiate their counterattack. The herd's coordinated movement, practiced in secret during quieter moments, caught the wolves off guard. Each member played their part with precision, their actions building upon each other to create an overwhelming response to the threat that had haunted them for so long. The eagles, perhaps sensing the shifting tide of battle, began their own maneuvers. Their powerful wings created downdrafts that drove snow into the wolves' faces, their presence adding another layer of complexity to the attackers' challenges. Whether intentional or not, their actions contributed to the growing chaos among One Eye's forces. Scout's darting attacks took on new significance as the herd's strategy unfolded. The fox's harassment now served to guide disoriented wolves into positions where they faced the full force of Thunder's coordinated defense. His understanding of both prey and predator psychology made him an invaluable bridge between different aspects of their plan. Luna's position shifted from defensive anchor to active participant as opportunities arose. The silver mare's recovery had progressed to the point where she could contribute directly to their defense, her movements inspiring the domestic horses to find courage they never knew they possessed. Their combined actions demonstrated the extraordinary power of unity in the face of overwhelming odds. Storm's golden form became a rallying point as the tide of battle turned decisively in their favor. The Palomino's strength and experience helped maintain pressure on the increasingly disorganized wolf pack, while his presence reassured the less experienced members of their group. The domestic horses, in particular, drew confidence from his unwavering resolve. Thunder's leadership reached new heights as their strategy succeeded beyond expectations. The stallion's ability to coordinate such diverse allies, wild horses, domestic horses, a solitary fox, and even the opportunistic eagles, demonstrated extraordinary understanding of each group's strengths and motivations. Their combined efforts created a defense that transformed into an irresistible counterattack. One Eye's authority over the combined packs began to crumble as their coordinated assault fell apart. The wolf leader's scarred face revealed increasing frustration as his followers responded to different threats in uncoordinated ways. The natural competition between wolf groups, suppressed by hunger and opportunity, resurfaced at the worst possible moment for the attackers. Scouts' intimate knowledge of wolf behavior helped identify the precise moment when their victory became inevitable. The fox's signals to Thunder confirmed what the stallion had already sensed. The wolves' collective will to fight was breaking. Their hunger and desperation could no longer overcome the mounting costs of their failed attack. The eagle's presence above added final weight to the wolves' decision to retreat. Their powerful forms, wheeling through the storm-torn sky, served as reminders that nature's hierarchy could shift unexpectedly. One Eye's pack began a disorganized withdrawal, their once fearsome unity shattered by the combined resistance they had faced. Luna watched the wolves retreat with quiet satisfaction, her own journey from victim to victor now complete. The silver mare's example had helped transform their entire group, showing how adversity could become a source of strength when faced with courage and determination. The domestic horses, in particular, had found new confidence through following her lead. Storm's experience helped ensure the wolves' withdrawal was permanent rather than tactical. The Palomino understood the importance of pressing their advantage just enough to discourage future attacks without exhausting their own resources. His measured pursuit helped reinforce the message that their sanctuary would remain inviolate. Thunder's leadership style evolved even as they secured their victory. The stallion recognized that their success had come through perfect cooperation between different species and groups, each contributing unique strengths to their collective defense. This understanding would shape his decisions as they faced future challenges in their journey. Scouts' role in their triumph highlighted the extraordinary possibilities that arose from unexpected alliances. The fox's contribution had gone far beyond simple assistance, demonstrating how traditional boundaries between species could dissolve in the face of shared challenges. His continued presence represented hope for even greater cooperation in the future. The storm began to ease as dawn approached, its fury spent in concert with the night's drama. The herd sanctuary had been tested and proven, its defenses strengthened by the bonds forged in crisis. Each member of their unusual family had grown through the experience, their individual transformations contributing to collective strength that would serve them well in the challenges ahead. First light painted the frozen waterfall in shades of rose and gold, transforming their sanctuary into a crystal palace. The aftermath of battle had left subtle changes in the landscape, tracks in the snow telling tales of courage and determination. Thunder surveyed their domain as dawn broke fully across the valley, his keen eyes noting how each member of their diverse family had found their place in the new order that emerged from chaos. The eagles maintained their presence above the valley, though their behavior had shifted from opportunistic observation to something approaching respectful distance. Their massive wings caught the morning thermals as they patrolled the perimeter, their movements suggesting a continuation of the unlikely alliance that had formed during the night's confrontation. Luna emerged from the central cave, her silver coat catching the early light. The mare's recovery had taken an unexpected turn. Her adaptation to injury had given her insights that now proved valuable in helping others heal from their own ordeals. The domestic horses gathered around her, their trust in her guidance now absolute as they began their morning rituals with newfound confidence. Storm's attention focused on the valley's southern approach, where the last signs of wolf tracks disappeared into the forest. The Palomino's experience told him that while their victory had been decisive, the natural order would eventually reassert itself. Their sanctuary's defenses needed to remain strong, even as they began planning the next phase of their journey. Scouts' morning reconnaissance revealed intriguing changes in the forest's dynamics. The fox's keen senses detected subtle shifts in animal behavior throughout their territory. Prey species moving with less fear, predators maintaining respectful distances. Their night of unified defense had altered the balance of power in ways that rippled through the entire ecosystem. Thunder began organizing their expanded family for the challenges ahead. The stallion's leadership style had evolved through necessity, incorporating elements of teaching and nurturing alongside protection and guidance. The domestic horses, particularly, required careful attention as they continued their transformation. From captives to free spirits, the waterfall's constant rhythm provided backdrop to their morning activities, its partially frozen state a reminder of nature's dual capacity for beauty and danger. Luna led the domestic horses in exploring safe paths around the ice formations, each step building their confidence in navigating wild terrain. Their movements showed increasing grace as they learned to trust their instincts. Storm's golden coat flashed like flame in the morning sun as he demonstrated proper grazing techniques to their newest family members. The Palomino's patience proved invaluable as he showed them how to find nourishment in seemingly barren winter landscape. Each successful lesson brought them closer to true independence. Scout's presence near the grazing horses marked another departure from natural order. The fox's continued alliance with the herd had begun influencing other forest inhabitants, creating ripples of change that spread through the wilderness. Smaller predators began showing similar tendencies toward cooperation rather than competition. Thunder watched these developments with growing understanding of their significance. The stallion recognized that their victory over One Eye's pack represented more than simple survival. It marked the beginning of a new way of life that challenged traditional boundaries between species. Their sanctuary had become a testing ground for possibilities that few had imagined. Luna's injury, now healed to a slight limp that did nothing to diminish her grace, had become a symbol of transformation for the entire group. The silver mare's journey from vulnerability to strength inspired others to push beyond their perceived limitations. The domestic horses especially found courage in her example as they faced their own challenges. The eagle's presence above, their sanctuary took on new meaning as the morning progressed. Their patrol patterns began showing signs of intentional communication with the ground-based defenders, their movements conveying information about approaching weather and distant threats. This unexpected development added another layer to their growing network of allies. Storm's experience with human behavior proved crucial as they began preparing for the next phase of their journey. The Palomino understood that their success in freeing the domestic horses would likely draw increased attention from the settlements. Their future path needed to balance the need for progress with the importance of remaining undetected. Scouts' morning discoveries included signs of other horse herds moving through distant parts of their territory. The fox's intelligence suggested that news of their victory had spread, drawing interested observers from far beyond their immediate range. Their success against overwhelming odds had captured the imagination of the forest's inhabitants. Thunder began incorporating these new factors into his planning. The stallion recognized that their next moves would carry significance beyond their immediate group. Their example of unity and cooperation could influence how other herds approach survival in an increasingly challenging environment. Luna's morning exercises with the domestic horses revealed remarkable progress in their adaptation to wildlife. The silver mare's methodical approach to building strength and confidence produced results that exceeded expectations. Each small victory, a sure-footed descent, a successful stream crossing, added to their growing sense of capability. The waterfall's ice formations began shifting in the strengthening sun, creating new patterns of light and shadow across their sanctuary. Storm organized rotating watches as their family members took turns grazing and resting, his natural understanding of group dynamics ensuring everyone's needs were met while maintaining security. Scouts' mid-morning patrol brought news that required immediate attention. The fox's excited signals drew Thunder to the valley's edge, where subtle signs indicated significant changes in their environment. The early winter weather was shifting again, bringing challenges that would test their newfound strengths. Thunder's leadership faced fresh trials as they began responding to these developments. The stallion's ability to coordinate diverse groups had grown considerably, but each new challenge required innovative approaches that built upon their collective experiences. The domestic horses, now active participants in their own destiny, contributed insights that proved surprisingly valuable. Luna's position within the group had evolved beyond her initial role as inspiration. The silver mare's understanding of adaptation and recovery made her an essential advisor in planning their upcoming journey. Her careful observations of individual strengths and limitations helped ensure their plans remained realistic and achievable. Storm's golden presence brought confidence to their preparations as they began organizing for movement. The Palomino's experience with long-distance travel helped identify potential challenges before they became problems. His practical knowledge complemented Thunder's strategic thinking, creating plans that addressed both immediate and long-term needs. Scouts' continued allegiance to their cause represented hope for even broader cooperation in the future. The fox's example began influencing other solitary hunters, creating a network of informal allies that expanded their awareness of forest conditions. This growing web of cooperation suggested possibilities that challenged traditional understanding of wilderness relationships. Thunder's morning survey of their position revealed both strengths and potential vulnerabilities. The stallion's tactical assessment incorporated lessons learned from their night of successful defense, identifying areas where their sanctuary's natural advantages could be enhanced through strategic positioning of lookouts and barriers. Luna's work with the domestic horses continued, showing promising results as morning wore into midday. The silver mare's patient guidance helped them develop skills they would need for the challenges ahead. Their progress from frightened captives to confident wild spirits marked one of the most remarkable transformations in their shared journey. The eagle's patrol patterns began showing signs of coordination with Scouts' ground-level reconnaissance. Their combined efforts created an early warning system that extended far beyond what any single species could achieve alone. This unprecedented cooperation suggested possibilities for survival strategies that no one had previously considered. Storm's attention to practical details ensured their sanctuary remained secure even as they began preparations for eventual departure. The Palomino's understanding of group dynamics helped maintain harmony as different members of their family focused on various aspects of their preparation. His quiet strength provided stability during times of transition. Scouts' midday explorations revealed changes in the forest's social structure that reflected their influence. The fox's observations suggested that other groups of animals had begun forming unusual alliances, inspired by the success of their diverse family. Their example had sparked a quiet revolution in wilderness relationships. Thunder's leadership style continued evolving as they faced new challenges. The stallions' ability to incorporate different perspectives into their planning helped ensure their strategies remained flexible and responsive to changing conditions. His growing understanding of individual strengths allowed him to delegate responsibilities effectively. Luna's afternoon sessions with the domestic horses focused on developing their ability to read natural signs, weather patterns, terrain changes, potential threats. The silver mare's own experiences with vulnerability and recovery gave her unique insight into the learning process. Her methods emphasized building confidence through graduated challenges. The waterfall's changing patterns marked the passage of time as their family settled into afternoon routines. Storm organized practice sessions that helped strengthen their defensive capabilities, incorporating lessons learned from their successful night of unified resistance. Each member of their group found ways to contribute to their collective security. Scouts' continuing presence near the herd demonstrated the extraordinary nature of their alliance. The fox's natural instincts as a solitary hunter had been transformed by their shared experiences, creating bonds that transcended traditional species boundaries. His example inspired other forest inhabitants to reconsider ancient patterns of behavior. Thunder's afternoon survey of their position revealed both progress and potential challenges. The stallion's strategic thinking incorporated growing understanding of how different species could work together effectively. Their sanctuary had become a testing ground for new forms of cooperation that challenged conventional wisdom about wilderness relationships. Afternoon shadows lengthened across the valley as unseasonable warmth began melting the sanctuary's ice formations. The changing conditions brought new considerations for Thunder's leadership. Water trickled down rock faces that had been frozen, solid, creating musical sounds that mixed with the waterfall's constant rhythm. This environmental shift demanded quick adaptation from their diverse family. A young eagle, smaller than its companions but marked by distinctive golden feathers, broke formation from the aerial patrol to land on a nearby outcrop. Its unusual behavior caught scouts' immediate attention. The fox approached cautiously, reading subtle signals in the raptor's posture that suggested urgency rather than aggression. Their impromptu meeting marked another extraordinary development in their expanding alliance. Luna guided the domestic horses through increasingly complex exercises, capitalizing on the improved weather conditions. The silver mare's methodical approach to building their confidence had evolved into a comprehensive system for awakening wild instincts. Each successful interaction with natural obstacles strengthened their transformation from captives to free spirits. Storm's golden coat gleamed as he monitored the valley's perimeter, his experienced eye noting how the melting ice changed their defensive positions. The Palomino's strategic assessment incorporated growing understanding of how environmental changes could affect their security. His observations helped identify areas that required immediate attention. The young eagle's presence proved significant as Scout interpreted its agitated movements. Through a series of gestures and positions, the fox pieced together a concerning message. Major changes were occurring beyond their immediate territory, driving various groups of animals into unfamiliar patterns of migration. These disruptions would soon affect their sanctuary. Thunder processed this intelligence with characteristic thoroughness. The stallion's leadership had grown to encompass an increasingly complex network of allies and considerations. Traditional herd behavior no longer provided adequate templates for managing their unique situation. Innovation had become essential. For survival, Luna's afternoon training session with the domestic horses demonstrated remarkable progress in their development. The silver mare's influence extended beyond physical skills to include understanding of wild social structures. Their growing appreciation for herd dynamics helped them integrate more fully into their new family. Storm organized immediate responses to the changing conditions. directing stronger members of their group to reinforce areas weakened by the melting ice. The Palomino's practical experience helped transform potential vulnerabilities into new advantages. Each challenge they faced contributed to their collective knowledge and capability. Scout's interaction with the young eagle evolved into a fascinating exchange of information. The fox's natural intelligence found ways to bridge the communication gap between different species. Their improvised system of signals and responses suggested possibilities for even broader cooperation in the future. Thunder's assessment of their situation revealed both immediate challenges and long-term opportunities. The stallion recognized that their success had begun influencing how other groups approach survival. Their example of cross-species cooperation offered hope for new solutions to age-old challenges. The waterfall's changing voice spoke of deeper transformations occurring within their environment. Luna used these natural changes as teaching opportunities for the domestic horses, helping them understand how reading environmental signals could enhance their survival skills. Their growing awareness marked significant progress in their journey to freedom. Storm's attention focused on practical preparations for the changes their eagle ally had warned about. The Palomino's experience with seasonal transitions helped identify critical needs that required immediate attention. His methodical approach to problem-solving provided stability during times of uncertainty. Scout's continued observation of the young eagle revealed additional layers of information about approaching challenges. The fox's ability to interpret subtle signals from different species had become an invaluable asset to their family. Their expanding network of communication extended their awareness far beyond normal limitations. Thunder began developing strategies that incorporated this new intelligence into their existing plans. The stallion's leadership style emphasized flexibility and adaptation, recognizing that survival often depended on ability to adjust quickly to changing circumstances. Their sanctuary's security required constant evolution to meet new challenges. Luna's work with the domestic horses took on added urgency as they prepared for potential changes in their situation. The silver mare's patience helped prevent panic while maintaining steady progress in their development. Each small victory contributed to their growing confidence and capability. The afternoon light brought new perspectives on their sanctuaries, strengths and vulnerabilities. Storm's assessment of their defensive positions identified areas where melting ice created both challenges and opportunities. The Palomino's practical knowledge helped transform potential problems into tactical advantages. Scout's communication with their aerial allies continued revealing valuable information about conditions beyond their immediate territory. The fox's growing understanding of different species' perspectives enhanced their ability to anticipate and prepare for approaching challenges. Their network of cooperation expanded with each successful interaction. Thunder's leadership faced fresh tests as they began implementing responses to the warned changes. The stallion's ability to coordinate diverse groups had grown considerably. Since their journey began, each new challenge provided opportunities to refine their unusual alliance's effectiveness. Luna's afternoon exercises with the domestic horses incorporated lessons learned from their recent experiences. The silver mare's methodology emphasized practical applications of their developing skills. Their progress reflected growing understanding of how different abilities could complement each other in critical situations. Storm's golden presence brought confidence to their preparations as they adjusted to changing conditions. The Palomino's experience helped identify priorities that required immediate attention while maintaining focus on longer-term concerns. His balanced approach to problem-solving contributed significantly to their planning process. Scout's continued interaction with the young eagle developed into a more structured exchange of information. The fox's natural intelligence found ways to translate between different species' perspectives. Their impromptu communication system suggested possibilities for even broader cooperation in the future. Thunder's afternoon survey of their position revealed new aspects of their sanctuary's potential. The stallion's strategic thinking incorporated growing understanding of how environmental changes could affect their security. Each observation contributed to their evolving approach to survival. Luna's work with the domestic horses showed increasing sophistication in their responses to challenges. The silver mare's influence extended beyond basic skills to include deeper understanding of wild behavior. Their development reflected growing appreciation for the complexities of natural existence. The waterfall's changing patterns created new sounds that echoed through their sanctuary. Storm used these acoustic variations to help identify blind spots in their defensive positions. The Palomino's attention to detail helped ensure their security remained effective despite changing conditions. Scouts' observations of other forest inhabitants revealed interesting developments in local animal behavior. The fox's keen senses detected subtle shifts in traditional patterns of interaction. Their example had begun influencing how different species approached survival challenges. Thunder's leadership continued evolving as they faced new situations. The stallion's ability to incorporate diverse perspectives into their planning helped ensure their strategies remained effective and adaptable. His growing understanding of individual strengths allowed for better utilization of their combined capabilities. Luna's late afternoon sessions with the domestic horses focused on developing their ability to read subtle environmental changes. The silver mare's own experiences with adaptation gave her unique insight into the learning process. Her methods emphasized building confidence through practical application of new skills. Storm's attention to security details ensured their sanctuary remained protected, even as conditions changed. The Palomino's understanding of group dynamics helped maintain harmony as different members focused on various aspects of their preparation. His quiet strength provided stability during times of transition. Scouts' continuing role as intermediary between different species demonstrated the extraordinary nature of their alliance. The fox's natural instincts had been transformed by their shared experiences, creating bonds that transcended traditional boundaries. His example inspired other forest inhabitants to reconsider ancient patterns of behavior. Thunder's late afternoon assessment of their situation revealed both progress and potential challenges. The stallion's strategic thinking incorporated growing understanding of how different species could work together effectively. Their sanctuary had become a testing ground for new forms of cooperation that challenged conventional wisdom about wilderness relationships. The young eagle's presence throughout the afternoon provided ongoing updates about conditions beyond their immediate territory. Luna incorporated this information into her training sessions, helping the domestic horses understand the importance of maintaining awareness of distant events. Their growing comprehension of larger patterns marked significant progress in their development. Storm's organization of their expanded family showed increasing sophistication as they adapted to changing conditions. The Palomino's experience helped identify ways to strengthen their unusual alliance through shared activities and responsibilities. Each member found opportunities to contribute to their collective security and well-being. Scouts' interaction with various allies revealed new possibilities for cooperation between different species. The fox's ability to bridge communication gaps helped create understanding between traditionally separate groups. Their expanding network of relationships suggested hope for broader changes in wilderness interactions. Thunder's leadership faced fresh challenges as they prepared for approaching changes in their environment. The stallion's ability to coordinate diverse groups had grown considerably through necessity and experience. Each new situation provided opportunities to refine their unusual alliance's effectiveness. Evening descended upon the valley in shades of purple and gold, bringing with it an unexpected warmth that accelerated the ice melt. The rushing sounds of water grew stronger as hidden streams emerged from their frozen prison, creating new pathways through their sanctuary. Thunder observed these changes with growing concern, recognizing that their defensive positions would need significant adjustment to account for the shifting landscape. The young eagle remained at its post, joined now by another of its kind, an older bird bearing distinctive battle scars across its breast. Their combined presence suggested deeper significance to the environmental changes occurring beyond their territory. Scout approached this new arrival with careful protocol, reading volumes of information in its proud bearing and alert posture. Luna gathered the domestic horses for their evening exercises, incorporating the day's lessons into more complex challenges. The silver mare's intuitive understanding of their learning process helped maintain steady progress while preventing exhaustion. Each successful completion of a task built upon previous achievements, creating a solid foundation of wild knowledge and instinct. Storm patrolled the sanctuary's boundaries with increased vigilance as darkness approached. The Palomino's experience with seasonal transitions warned him that twilight hours during weather changes often brought unexpected challenges. His golden coat caught the last rays of sunlight as he assessed their perimeter defenses. The scarred eagle's arrival had brought urgent news that Scout carefully interpreted through their developing system of communication. Beyond their sanctuary, massive changes were occurring. Landslides had altered traditional migration routes, forcing various species into unfamiliar territories. These disruptions were creating new alliances and conflicts that would soon affect their area. Thunder processed this intelligence while organizing evening security rotations. The stallion's leadership had evolved to encompass an increasingly complex web of responsibilities and relationships. Traditional patterns of herd behavior no longer sufficed for managing their unique situation, requiring constant innovation and adaptation. Luna's evening training session revealed surprising progress among the domestic horses. The silver mare's methodical approach had awakened deep instincts that generations of captivity had suppressed but not eliminated. Their responses to environmental challenges showed increasing sophistication and natural grace. Storm initiated new defensive arrangements that accounted for the changed landscape. The Palomino's tactical understanding helped identify advantages in what initially appeared as vulnerabilities. Each adjustment strengthened their position while conserving energy and resources. Scout's dialogue with their avian allies continued revealing layers of crucial information. The fox's natural intelligence found ways to bridge communication gaps between species that traditionally had no peaceful interaction. Their expanding network of cooperation suggested possibilities that challenged ancient boundaries. Thunder's assessment of their situation identified both immediate concerns and long-term opportunities. The stallion recognized that their success had begun influencing how other groups approached survival challenges. Their example of cross-species cooperation offered hope for new solutions to age-old problems. The waterfall's voice changed as evening progressed, its rhythm altered by the continuing thaw. Luna used these natural variations as teaching opportunities, helping the domestic horses understand how environmental changes could signal approaching challenges. Their growing awareness marked significant progress in their journey toward true freedom. Storm's attention focused on practical preparations for the warnings their eagle allies had brought. The Palomino's experience with sudden environmental changes helped prioritize their immediate needs while maintaining awareness of longer-term concerns. His methodical approach provided stability during uncertain times. Scout's continued observation of their avian messengers revealed additional layers of critical information. The fox's ability to interpret subtle signals from different species had become an invaluable asset to their family. Their expanding awareness extended far beyond normal limitations of any single species. Thunder began developing strategies that incorporated this new intelligence into their existing plans. The stallion's leadership emphasized flexibility and adaptation, recognizing that survival often depended on ability to adjust quickly to changing circumstances. Their sanctuary's security required constant evolution to meet emerging challenges. Luna's work with the domestic horses took on added urgency as they prepared for potential changes in their situation. The silver mare's patience helped prevent panic while maintaining steady progress in their development. Each small victory contributed to their growing confidence and capability. The evening light brought new perspectives on their sanctuary's strengths and vulnerabilities. Storm's assessment of their defensive positions identified areas where melting ice created both challenges and opportunities. The Palomino's practical knowledge helped transform potential problems into tactical advantages. Scouts' communication with their aerial allies continued revealing valuable information about conditions beyond their immediate territory. The fox's growing understanding of different species' perspectives enhanced their ability to anticipate and prepare for approaching challenges. Their network of cooperation expanded with each successful interaction. Thunder's leadership faced fresh tests as they began implementing responses to the warned changes. The stallion's ability to coordinate diverse groups had grown considerably. Since their journey began, each new challenge provided opportunities to refine their unusual alliance's effectiveness. Luna's evening exercises with the domestic horses incorporated lessons learned from their recent experiences. The silver mare's methodology emphasized practical applications of their developing skills. Their progress reflected growing understanding of how different abilities could complement each other in critical situations. Storm's golden presence brought confidence to their preparations as they adjusted to changing conditions. The Palomino's experience helped identify priorities that required immediate attention while maintaining focus on longer-term concerns. His balanced approach to problem-solving contributed significantly to their planning process. The scarred eagle's presence throughout the evening provided ongoing updates about conditions beyond their immediate territory. Luna incorporated this information into her training sessions, helping the domestic horses understand the importance of maintaining awareness of distant events. Their growing comprehension of larger patterns marked significant progress in their development. Scouts' role as intermediary between different species demonstrated the extraordinary nature of their alliance. The fox's natural instincts had been transformed by their shared experiences, creating bonds that transcended traditional boundaries. His example inspired other forest inhabitants to reconsider ancient patterns of behavior. Thunder's evening assessment of their situation revealed both progress and potential challenges. The stallion's strategic thinking incorporated growing understanding of how environmental changes could affect their security. Each observation contributed to their evolving approach to survival. Luna's work with the domestic horses showed increasing sophistication in their responses to challenges. The silver mare's influence extended beyond basic skills to include deeper understanding of wild behavior. Their development reflected growing appreciation for the complexities of natural existence. Storm's organization of their expanded family showed increasing sophistication as they adapted to changing conditions. The Palomino's experience helped identify ways to strengthen their unusual alliance through shared activities and responsibilities. Each member found opportunities to contribute to their collective security and well-being. The scarred eagle's Movement suggested urgency in its messages, prompting Scout to pay particularly close attention to its behavior. The fox's ability to interpret these signals helped their family prepare for approaching changes that would affect their entire territory. Their advanced warning system had become increasingly sophisticated through necessity and practice. Thunder's leadership continued evolving as they faced new situations. The stallion's ability to incorporate diverse perspectives into their planning helped ensure their strategies remained effective and adaptable. His growing understanding of individual strengths allowed for better utilization of their combined capabilities. Luna's final evening sessions with the domestic horses focused on developing their ability to read subtle environmental changes. The silver mare's own experiences with adaptation gave her unique insight into the learning process. Her methods emphasized building confidence through practical application of new skills. Storm's attention to security details ensured their sanctuary remained protected even as conditions changed. The Palomino's understanding of group dynamics helped maintain harmony as different members focused on various aspects of their preparation. His quiet strength provided stability during times of transition. Nightfall swept across the valley, bringing with it an eerie mix of mist and moonlight that transformed their sanctuary. A new sound echoed through the darkness, the deep rumble of distant earth movements that sent vibrations through the ground beneath their hooves. Thunder gathered his family closer, sensing that nature itself was preparing to challenge their resolve in ways they had not yet encountered. From high above, the scarred eagle let out a piercing cry that silenced all other forest sounds. Its message, urgent and clear, spoke of massive changes approaching from the north. Entire mountains were shifting, ancient ice was melting, and the natural order was being rewritten with each passing moment. Scout's interpretation of these warnings painted a picture of unprecedented transformation. Luna guided the domestic horses into sheltered positions as the ground tremors intensified. The silver mare's calm demeanor helped prevent panic, though every member of their group could sense the approaching danger. Her own experiences with adversity had taught her the importance of maintaining composure when facing the unknown. Storm's golden form moved through the gathering darkness with practiced ease, checking defensive positions and ensuring every member of their family remained secure. The Palomino's experience with natural disasters provided crucial guidance as they prepared for whatever approached. His methodical assessment helped identify the safest areas within their sanctuary. The younger eagle joined its scarred companion in a complex aerial dance, their movements describing patterns that Scout studied with intense concentration. The fox's ability to interpret their urgent messages revealed a story of massive wildlife displacement occurring beyond their immediate territory. Entire herds of various species were being forced into unprecedented migrations. Thunder processed this intelligence while organizing their response to the increasing ground movements. The stallion's leadership now faced challenges that went beyond normal tactical considerations. Natural forces were reshaping their world, demanding adaptation on a scale they had not yet encountered. Luna's influence on the domestic horses proved crucial as the situation intensified. The silver mare's steady presence helped them maintain calm despite the growing chaos around them. Their trust in her guidance had evolved into a deep connection that transcended their former captive nature. Storm initiated emergency protocols that he had developed during his years of roaming. The Palomino's understanding of Earth movements helped him identify safe zones within their sanctuary, where rock formations would provide maximum protection. His practical knowledge became increasingly valuable as conditions deteriorated. Scouts' dialogue with their avian allies took on new urgency as the night progressed. The fox's natural intelligence allowed him to piece together a complete picture of the approaching danger. Their warning system had evolved far beyond simple predator, alerts to encompass understanding of large-scale natural events. Thunder's assessment of their situation revealed both immediate risks and potential opportunities. The stallion recognized that these dramatic changes might actually work to their advantage if handled correctly. Their sanctuary's unique features could provide shelter not just for their family, but for others seeking refuge. The waterfall's voice changed dramatically as Earth movements altered its course. Luna used this as a teaching moment for the domestic horses, helping them understand how reading natural signals could mean the difference between survival and disaster. Their growing awareness of environmental cues marked another step in their evolution. Storm's attention focused on securing vital resources that they would need in the coming hours. The Palomino's experience with emergency situations helped him prioritize their immediate needs while planning for longer-term challenges. His methodical approach provided structure during chaos. Scout's continued observation of the eagles revealed critical details about the approaching changes. The fox's ability to interpret complex messages from different species had become essential to their survival strategy. Their advanced warning system provided precious time for preparation. Thunder began implementing plans that would protect their family while remaining flexible enough to adapt to changing conditions. The stallion's leadership style emphasized both strength and adaptability, recognizing that rigid responses would not serve them in facing natural forces. Their sanctuary's security required innovation and creativity. Luna's work with the domestic horses focused on practical survival skills as the situation developed. The silver mare's patience helped them master crucial techniques without succumbing to fear. Each lesson built upon their growing confidence while preparing them for greater challenges. The nocturnal landscape revealed new aspects of their sanctuary's potential as emergency shelter. Storm's assessment of their defensive positions identified areas where natural formations could provide protection from both Earth movements and displaced wildlife. The Palomino's tactical knowledge helped transform challenges into advantages. Scouts' communication with their aerial allies continued providing vital information about approaching changes. The fox's growing understanding of various species' perspectives enhanced their ability to anticipate and prepare for multiple scenarios. Their network of cooperation expanded to meet increasing challenges. Thunder's leadership faced unprecedented tests as they implemented responses to the environmental crisis. The stallion's ability to coordinate diverse groups had evolved to encompass natural disasters alongside normal tactical concerns. Each new challenge required innovative solutions that built upon their collective experience. Luna's night training sessions with the domestic horses incorporated lessons about reading Earth movements and responding to natural threats. The Silver Mare's methodology emphasized practical applications of survival skills. Their progress reflected growing understanding of wild existence's complexities. Storm's presence brought stability to their preparations as conditions continued deteriorating. The Palomino's experience helped identify priorities that required immediate attention while maintaining awareness of developing situations. His balanced approach to crisis management contributed significantly to their response. The eagle's presence throughout the night provided continuous updates about approaching changes. Luna incorporated this information into her guidance, helping the domestic horses understand the importance of remaining alert to distant events. Their growing comprehension of larger patterns marked significant progress in their development. Scout's role as interpreter between species demonstrated the extraordinary value of their alliance. The fox's natural instincts had evolved to encompass complex communication between traditionally separate groups. His example inspired innovative approaches to survival challenges. Thunder's nighttime assessment of their situation revealed both immediate dangers and potential opportunities. The stallion's strategic thinking incorporated understanding of how natural forces could affect their security. Each observation contributed to their evolving approach to unprecedented challenges. Luna's influence on the domestic horses showed increasing sophistication as they faced environmental threats. The silver mare's guidance extended beyond basic skills to include deeper understanding of nature's power. Their development reflected growing appreciation for wild existence's fundamental forces. Storm's organization of their expanded family demonstrated remarkable adaptation to crisis conditions. The Palomino's experience helped identify ways to strengthen their unusual alliance through shared response to natural threats. Each member found opportunities to contribute to their collective survival. The eagle's movements suggested urgency in their messages as earth tremors intensified. Scouts' ability to interpret these signals helped their family prepare for approaching changes that would affect their entire territory. Their warning system had become increasingly sophisticated through necessity and practice. Thunder's leadership continued evolving as they faced natural forces beyond their control. The stallion's ability to incorporate diverse perspectives into their planning helped ensure their strategies remained effective and adaptable. His growing understanding of individual strengths allowed for better utilization of their combined capabilities. Luna's final night sessions with the domestic horses focused on developing their ability to read and respond to environmental threats. The silver mare's own experiences with adaptation gave her unique insight into survival requirements. Her methods emphasized building confidence through practical application of critical skills. Storm's attention to security details ensured their sanctuary remained as protected as possible despite deteriorating conditions. The Palomino's understanding of group dynamics helped maintain calm as different members focused on various aspects of their emergency response. His quiet strength provided stability during escalating chaos. Midnight brought an otherworldly silence to the valley as the earth tremors momentarily subsided. The scarred eagle maintained its vigil from a precarious perch, its battle-worn features illuminated by occasional moonlight breaking through racing clouds. Thunder sensed a pivotal moment approaching, one that would test not just their physical strength but the very bonds that held their unusual family together. A new sound pierced the darkness, the distinctive cry of displaced mountain goats making their way down from higher elevations. Their appearance at this altitude marked unprecedented changes in the natural order, forcing various species to seek safety in unfamiliar territories. Scouts' keen senses detected subtle shifts in the forest's atmosphere as traditional boundaries between habitats began dissolving. Luna gathered the domestic horses into a protective formation as the first mountain refugees approached their sanctuary. The silver mare's calming influence helped maintain order as their haven began filling with diverse groups of wildlife seeking shelter from the environmental upheaval. Her own journey from vulnerability to strength gave her unique insight into the needs of these displaced creatures. Storm patrolled the perimeter with heightened awareness, his golden coat barely visible in the deep shadows. The Palomino's experience with large-scale wildlife movements helped him anticipate potential conflicts between different species seeking refuge. His presence served as both warning and welcome to approaching groups. The young eagle rejoined its scarred mentor, their combined aerial survey revealing patterns of movement that spoke of greater changes still to come. Scout interpreted their urgent messages with growing concern. The displacement of mountain wildlife was merely the beginning of a larger transformation that would reshape their entire region. Thunder processed these developments while organizing safe zones within their sanctuary. The stallion's leadership now encompassed responsibilities far beyond protecting his immediate family. Their valley had become a crucial shelter in a rapidly changing landscape, requiring careful management of space and resources. Luna's influence extended to the newly arrived refugees, her gentle guidance helping establish peaceful coexistence between traditionally competitive species. The silver mare's methodology for maintaining calm proved effective even with wildlife that normally avoided horse herds. Her patient approach fostered understanding across ancient boundaries. Storm initiated a complex system of space allocation that respected both territorial needs and safety requirements. The Palomino's practical knowledge of different species' behaviors helped prevent conflicts while maximizing use of available shelter. His organizational skills proved crucial as their sanctuary's population continued growing. Scouts' dialogue with their avian allies revealed increasingly urgent warnings about approaching weather patterns. The fox's natural intelligence allowed him to piece together a comprehensive picture of the challenges they faced. Their warning system had evolved to encompass understanding of both immediate and long-term threats. Thunder's assessment of their situation identified critical needs that required immediate attention. The stallion recognized that successful management of their expanded refuge would require unprecedented cooperation between species. Their example of cross-species alliance needed to extend to their new guests. The waterfall's voice provided constant background to the night's activities, its rhythm helping maintain calm among the diverse groups seeking shelter. Luna used this natural sound as a focusing point for nervous newcomers, helping them adjust to proximity with traditional competitors. Her techniques for reducing tension proved remarkably effective across species boundaries. Storm's attention focused on practical aspects of managing their growing population. The Palomino's experience with different wildlife groups helped him establish guidelines for sharing essential resources. His methodical approach to problem-solving provided structure during potentially chaotic situations. Scouts' continued observation of the eagles revealed critical information about developing weather patterns that would affect their sanctuary. The fox's ability to interpret complex messages from different species had become essential to their survival strategy. Their advanced warning system helped them prepare for approaching challenges. Thunder began implementing plans that would protect all seeking refuge while maintaining order within their sanctuary. The stallion's leadership style emphasized cooperation and mutual support, recognizing that survival required moving beyond traditional rivalries. Their valley's security depended on successful cooperation between diverse groups. Luna's work with newly arrived wildlife focused on establishing basic protocols for peaceful coexistence. The silver mare's patience helped different species overcome instinctive fears and aggression. Each successful interaction built foundation for broader cooperation within their growing community. The night landscape revealed new aspects of their sanctuary's potential as various species found appropriate shelter zones. Storm's assessment of available space identified areas where natural formations could accommodate different groups while maintaining necessary separation. The Palomino's tactical knowledge helped transform potential conflicts into manageable situations. Scouts' communication with their aerial allies continued providing vital information about approaching changes and wildlife movements. The fox's growing understanding of various species' needs enhanced their ability to prepare appropriate responses. Their network of cooperation expanded to meet increasing challenges. Thunder's leadership faced unprecedented tests as they managed interactions between traditionally hostile groups. The stallion's ability to coordinate diverse species had evolved to encompass complex social dynamics alongside practical concerns. Each new arrival required careful integration into their expanding community. Luna's midnight sessions with nervous newcomers incorporated lessons learned from helping domestic horses adapt to freedom. The silver mare's methodology emphasized finding common ground between different species. Their progress reflected growing understanding of possibilities for peaceful coexistence. Storm's presence brought stability to potentially volatile situations. As different groups established their places within the sanctuary, the Palomino's experience helped identify ways to prevent territorial disputes while maintaining essential boundaries. His balanced approach to crisis management contributed significantly to their success. The eagle's presence throughout the night provided continuous updates about approaching wildlife groups and weather changes. Luna incorporated this information into her guidance, helping different species understand the importance of maintaining awareness of larger patterns. Their growing comprehension of shared challenges marked significant progress in community development. Scout's role as interpreter between species demonstrated the extraordinary value of their alliance system. The fox's natural instincts had evolved to encompass complex communication between traditionally separate groups. His example inspired innovative approaches to building understanding across species boundaries. Thunder's midnight assessment of their situation revealed both immediate challenges and long-term opportunities. The stallion's strategic thinking incorporated understanding of how different species could contribute to collective survival. Each observation contributed to their evolving approach to sanctuary management. Luna's influence on the sanctuary's social dynamics showed increasing sophistication as they faced integration challenges. The silver mare's guidance extended beyond basic peacekeeping to include deeper understanding of cross-species cooperation. Their development reflected growing appreciation for possibilities of unified response to environmental threats. Storm's organization of their expanded community demonstrated remarkable adaptation to unprecedented circumstances. The Palomino's experience helped identify ways to strengthen unusual alliances through shared responses to common challenges. Each group found opportunities to contribute to their collective survival. The eagle's movements suggested urgency in their messages. As weather patterns continued shifting, Scout's ability to interpret these signals helped their sanctuary prepare for approaching changes that would affect all seeking refuge. Their warning system had become increasingly sophisticated through necessity and practical application. Thunder's leadership continued evolving as they faced challenges beyond any single species' experience. The stallion's ability to incorporate diverse perspectives into their planning helped ensure their strategies remained effective and adaptable. His growing understanding of different species' strengths allowed for better utilization of their combined capabilities. Luna's final midnight sessions focused on developing mutual understanding between various groups within their sanctuary. The silver mare's own experiences with adaptation gave her unique insight into building trust across traditional boundaries. Her methods emphasized finding common ground through shared challenges and goals. Storm's attention to security details ensured their sanctuary remained protected while accommodating diverse needs. The Palomino's understanding of group dynamics helped maintain stability as different species focused on various aspects of their shared situation. His quiet strength provided reassurance during uncertain times. Deep in the heart of night, an otherworldly glow appeared on the northern horizon, painting the clouds in shades of green and silver. The scarred eagle's attention fixed upon this celestial display, recognizing it as a harbinger of further changes to come. Thunder gathered, his expanded family closer, sensing that nature itself was unveiling new challenges that would test their evolving alliance in unexpected ways. Mountain winds carried unfamiliar scents into their valley, speaking of distant fires and massive earth movements that had reshaped entire landscapes. Scouts' interpretation of these atmospheric messages revealed a world in transformation, where traditional territories and boundaries held little meaning. The fox's keen senses detected subtle variations in air pressure that suggested approaching weather patterns unlike any in living memory. Luna moved among the gathered wildlife with quiet purpose, her silver coat seeming to absorb and reflect the strange light from above. The mare's influence had grown beyond simple guidance to embrace a deeper understanding of how different species could support each other during times of crisis. Her methods for maintaining peace between traditional rivals had evolved into a comprehensive system of mutual aid. Storm patrolled the sanctuary's expanded boundaries, his golden form moving through shadows that danced with ethereal light. Utiusi and Palomino's experience with natural phenomena helped him recognize signs of approaching change that others might miss. His practical knowledge became increasingly valuable as conditions continued evolving beyond normal parameters. The young eagle performed intricate aerial maneuvers above their sanctuary, its movements describing patterns that captured scouts' immediate attention. Through their developed system of communication, the fox began piecing together a complex message about atmospheric changes that would soon affect their entire region. Their warning network had expanded to encompass understanding of celestial influences on earthly events. Thunder processed this intelligence while organizing responses to the growing complexity of their situation. The stallion's leadership now faced challenges that transcended ordinary experience, requiring innovation in how they approached both practical and social aspects of sanctuary management. Their success depended on ability to adapt to rapidly changing circumstances while maintaining the delicate balance between different species. Luna's work with recently arrived groups took on new significance as the northern lights intensified. The silver mare recognized how these celestial displays affected different species in various ways, some finding them disturbing while others drew inspiration from their beauty. Her careful attention to these reactions helped prevent panic while fostering appreciation for shared experiences. Storm initiated adjustments to their sanctuary's organization based on changing atmospheric conditions. The Palomino's understanding of how weather patterns affected different species helped him anticipate and address potential problems before they developed. His methodical approach to crisis management provided stability during increasingly uncertain times. Scouts' dialogue with their avian allies revealed new layers of complexity in approaching environmental changes. The fox's natural intelligence allowed him to synthesize information from multiple sources into coherent warnings that could be shared across species boundaries. Their communication system had evolved to encompass understanding of both immediate and long-term implications of natural phenomena. Thunder's assessment of their situation identified opportunities hidden within approaching challenges. The stallion recognized that shared experiences of extraordinary events could strengthen bonds between different species, creating foundations for deeper cooperation. Their sanctuary had become a testing ground for new forms of interaction between traditionally separate groups. The waterfall's voice took on ethereal qualities as the strange light played across its surface. Luna used these unusual conditions as teaching opportunities, helping various species understand how natural changes could bring both challenge and beauty. Her techniques for finding positive aspects in difficult situations proved effective across species boundaries. Storm's attention focused on practical preparations for whatever changes the celestial display might herald. The Palomino's experience with unusual natural events helped him identify critical needs that required immediate attention. His balanced approach to problem-solving provided framework for addressing both physical and psychological aspects of their situation. Scouts continued. Observation of the eagles revealed intricate details about approaching atmospheric changes. The fox's ability to interpret complex messages from different species had become essential to their collective understanding of environmental transformations. Their warning system provided crucial time for preparation and adjustment. Thunder began implementing plans that would protect their expanded community while maintaining flexibility to adapt to changing conditions. The stallion's leadership style emphasized cooperation and mutual support, recognizing that survival increasingly depended on ability to work together across traditional boundaries. Their sanctuary's security required constant evolution in response to unprecedented challenges. Luna's influence extended to helping different species find common ground in shared experiences of extraordinary events. The silver mare's patience helped transform potential sources of fear into opportunities for building understanding between groups. Each successful interaction strengthened foundations of their unusual alliance. The night landscape continued transforming under the influence of celestial lights, revealing new aspects of their sanctuary's potential. Storm's assessment of their situation identified ways to use these unusual conditions to advantage while maintaining essential security. The Palomino's tactical knowledge helped transform potential disruptions into opportunities for growth. Scouts' communication with their aerial allies provided crucial updates about how atmospheric changes were affecting wildlife movements in surrounding territories. The fox's growing understanding of various species' responses to unusual phenomena enhanced their ability to prepare appropriate support for new arrivals. Their network of cooperation expanded to meet increasing challenges with innovative solutions. Thunder's leadership faced unprecedented tests as they managed responses to celestial events that affected different species in unique ways. The stallion's ability to coordinate diverse groups had evolved to encompass understanding of how natural phenomena influence behavior and interaction patterns. Each new development required careful attention to maintaining harmony within their expanded community. Luna's midnight work with various groups focused on finding ways to draw strength from shared experiences of extraordinary events. The Silver Mare's methodology emphasized building connections through collective responses to unusual situations. Their progress reflected growing appreciation for possibilities inherent in unity during challenging times. Storm's presence brought reassurance to those unsettled by celestial changes, his calm approach helping maintain stability throughout their sanctuary. The Palomino's experience helped identify ways to channel nervous energy into productive activities while maintaining essential security measures. His balanced leadership style contributed significantly to their successful management of unprecedented situations. The eagle's presence throughout the night provided continuous updates about how atmospheric changes were affecting different regions. Luna incorporated this information into her guidance, helping various species understand broader patterns of environmental transformation. Their growing comprehension of larger natural cycles marked significant progress in collective awareness. Scout's role as interpreter between species demonstrated extraordinary value during times of unusual phenomena. The fox's natural instincts had evolved to encompass understanding of how different creatures perceived and responded to celestial events. His example inspired innovative approaches to building comprehension across species boundaries. Thunder's midnight assessment of their situation revealed both immediate concerns and long-term implications of atmospheric changes. The stallion's strategic thinking incorporated understanding of how natural phenomena could affect their sanctuary's dynamics. Each observation contributed to their evolving approach to managing unprecedented circumstances. Luna's influence on their expanded community showed increasing sophistication as they faced celestial challenges together. The Silver Mare's guidance extended beyond basic peacekeeping, to include deeper appreciation for shared experiences of extraordinary events. Their development reflected growing understanding of how unity could emerge from collective challenges. Storm's organization of their sanctuary demonstrated remarkable adaptation to unprecedented conditions. The Palomino's experience helped identify ways to strengthen unusual alliances through shared responses to celestial phenomena. Each group found opportunities to contribute to their collective understanding and support of each other. The Eagles' movement suggested urgent messages about approaching atmospheric changes. Scouts' ability to interpret these signals helped their sanctuary prepare for transformations that would affect all seeking refuge. Their warning system had become increasingly sophisticated through necessity and practical application in extraordinary circumstances. Thunder's leadership continued evolving as they faced challenges beyond any single species' experience. The stallion's ability to incorporate diverse perspectives into their planning helped ensure their strategies remained effective and adaptable during unprecedented events. His growing understanding of different species' responses to natural phenomena allowed for better coordination of their combined capabilities. Luna's final midnight interactions focused on building lasting connections through shared experiences of extraordinary events. The Silver Mare's own journey of adaptation gave her unique insight into finding strength through unity in challenging times. Her methods emphasized creating positive outcomes from unprecedented situations. Storm's attention to security details ensured their sanctuary remained protected while accommodating diverse responses to celestial phenomena. The Palomino's understanding of group dynamics helped maintain stability as different species processed unusual events in their own ways. His quiet strength provided reassurance during transformative times. Dawn approached the sanctuary with extraordinary beauty, the first rays of sunlight merging with fading celestial lights to create an ethereal landscape. Thunder stood atop their valley's highest point, his powerful form silhouetted against the transforming sky. The stallion's gaze swept across their expanded community, pride mixing with wonder at how far they had come from those first moments of crisis that had brought them together. The scarred eagle descended to perch on a nearby outcropping, its battle-worn features softened by the unique light. Through Scout's careful interpretation, its final message brought news of settling Earth and calming weather patterns. The great disruptions that had forced so many to seek refuge were finally subsiding, leaving behind a world forever changed by shared experiences of survival and unity. Luna emerged from the central cave where she had spent the night helping. Nervous youngsters from various species find comfort in each other's presence. The Silver Mare's influence had transcended her own kind to touch lives across traditional boundaries, creating bonds that would reshape how different creatures interacted for generations to come. Her own journey from injured outcast to respected leader served as living proof that transformation was always possible. Storm patrolled the valley's perimeter one final time, his golden coat catching early light in ways that reminded all of Hope's persistence through darkest times. The Palomino's practical leadership had helped transform their sanctuary from temporary shelter to lasting symbol of cooperation's power. His methodical approach to solving unprecedented challenges had created templates for future cooperation between diverse groups. Scout's morning reconnaissance revealed a landscape renewed by recent events, where traditional territories had given way to shared spaces and ancient rivalries had transformed into strategic alliances. The fox's role as bridge between species had helped create understanding that transcended instinctive boundaries, suggesting possibilities for continued cooperation even as immediate dangers passed. The young eagle soared overhead, its movements describing patterns of joy rather than warning. Through their developed communication system, Scout interpreted messages of positive changes spreading far beyond their sanctuary's boundaries. Their example of successful cooperation had inspired similar transformations throughout surrounding territories, creating networks of mutual support that would persist beyond current challenges. Thunder gathered their expanded family for what they all sensed would be a pivotal moment. The stallion's leadership had evolved far beyond traditional herd dynamics to encompass understanding of how different species could work together for common good. Their sanctuary had become something greater than mere shelter. It represented hope for new ways of approaching life's challenges. Luna moved among gathered groups with quiet grace, her presence bringing calm to this moment of transition. The silver mare's methods for building trust between traditional rivals had created foundations for lasting peace. Her patient approach to fostering understanding had shown how barriers between species could dissolve when faced with shared challenges. Storm's practical knowledge helped organize farewells as various groups prepared to explore their transformed world. The Palomino's experience with different species' needs helped ensure each departure would strengthen, rather than diminish, bonds formed during their time together. His attention to details helped transform necessary separations into celebrations of continuing connection. Scout's morning observations revealed how profoundly their sanctuary's influence had spread through surrounding territories. The fox's ability to interpret messages from different species confirmed that changes in behavior and interaction patterns were becoming permanent features of their transformed environment. Their example had sparked revolution in how wildlife approached survival challenges. Thunder's final assessment of their situation revealed triumph far beyond mere survival. The stallion recognized that their success had created template for new forms of cooperation between traditionally separate groups. Their sanctuary's legacy would continue influencing generations through stories shared by all who had found shelter within its boundaries. The waterfall's voice provided backdrop to farewells as different groups began their journeys home. Luna's influence ensured these departures strengthened rather than severed bonds formed during shared challenges. Her techniques for maintaining connections across distances would help ensure their alliance's influence continued spreading through wild spaces. Storm supervised practical aspects of various departures, his experience helping identify optimal timing and routes for different groups. The Palomino's understanding of territory and weather patterns helped ensure safe passages for all leaving their sanctuary. His methodical approach transformed potentially difficult separations into confident new beginnings. Scout's dialogue with departing groups revealed how profoundly perspectives had changed during their time together. The fox's natural intelligence had helped create understanding between species that would persist long after physical separation. Their communication system had evolved into legacy that would continue facilitating cooperation between diverse groups. Thunder's leadership faced final challenge of ensuring their sanctuary's lessons would spread beyond its physical boundaries. The stallion's ability to inspire others had created a network of ambassadors who would carry messages of cooperation to their respective territories. Each departure represented opportunity for expanding influence of their unified approach to survival. Luna's work with various groups had created lasting impact on how different species perceived each other. The silver mare's patient guidance had helped transform traditional rivals into partners capable of supporting each other through difficulties. Her methods for building trust had become template for approaching challenges throughout wild spaces. The morning light revealed how profoundly their sanctuary had changed those who had found shelter within its boundaries. Storm's organization of their expanded community had demonstrated practical benefits of cooperation across species lines. The Palomino's leadership had helped create lasting testament to possibilities inherent in unity. Scout's role as interpreter between species had helped create understanding that would persist beyond their time together. The fox's evolved instincts had demonstrated how traditional boundaries could transform into bridges connecting different groups. Their alliance had shown how diversity could become strength rather than source of conflict. As morning progressed, each departure carried seeds of transformation to new territories. Thunder's final messages emphasized continuing importance of maintaining connections forged during shared challenges. The stallion's vision of cooperation between species had become reality that would influence future generations. Luna's farewell interactions focused on ensuring lasting impact of lessons learned during their time together. The silver mare's own journey from injury to leadership had become symbol of transformation's possibilities. Her influence would continue spreading through stories shared by all who had experienced her guidance. Storm's attention to practical details helped ensure departing groups carried both physical and spiritual resources needed for continuing their journeys. The Palomino's experience had helped create practical framework for maintaining cooperative relationships across distances. His methodical approach had transformed theoretical possibilities into achievable realities. Scout's final communications with their avian allies confirmed positive changes spreading throughout surrounding territories. The fox's ability to bridge communication gaps between species had helped create lasting network of cooperation. Their warning system had evolved into template for maintaining beneficial connections between diverse groups. Thunder's leadership had created legacy that would continue influencing wilderness relationships long after their sanctuary's immediate purpose was fulfilled. The stallion's ability to inspire cooperation across traditional boundaries had demonstrated possibilities for approaching life's challenges through unity rather than competition. As their expanded family prepared for new beginnings, strength of bonds formed during shared challenges became apparent in countless small interactions between different species. Their sanctuary's influence would persist through changed behaviors and attitudes carried to distant territories by those who had found shelter within its boundaries. These incredible tales of survival, friendship, and courage await your discovery. Just click to experience more extraordinary moments of inspiration and wonder.